What's up, y'all? This is John, and today we're talking about healthcare, baby. In our last episode, we briefly chatted with y'all about healthcare in South Korea and how it's one of many pluses we're looking forward to now that we're moving to Seoul. For this one, we're taking you guys on a little medical adventure I recently went through when we were in town and sharing some definite positives we came across. And we're also launching headfirst into the exquisite, super affordable eats we discovered in the process. All tucked into one tiny Seoul neighborhood that, truth be told, I couldn't really leave for a while.
It's very sad. It's sad. It's not, it's really sad.
So it was only moderately terrible, but the story is that I've been dealing with some not fun ingrown toenail business for a long time, caused by too much kicking the soccer ball around, and recently I landed in Seoul just as my right big toe started majorly acting up. I go to the nearest foot doc we can find in the neighborhood we're staying in. Doc says, hey baby, we gotta operate and cut away a big chunk of nail, which unfortunately I've been through before, and bam, he puts me under the knife. But Mink, yeah, this dude is skimping on the anesthesia, and I'm feeling entirely too much slicing and dicing going on under that nail. Go easy, daddy-o. Still, I gotta point out some real perks going on here. As an uninsured traveler who was only visiting Korea at the time, and as someone who's used to the shenanigans of healthcare in America. Off the top, I'm showing up to this particular clinic with no appointment, no referral, no nothing. The cost of the operation is 60,000 won, which is about $45, and it would only cost a third of that if I had national health insurance. And the folks here are also being extra thorough. I'm encouraged to come back every day or two so they can see how the wound is healing. And after all the bandaging is done, they're hooking me up with a styling plastic bag, since I gotta avoid getting my foot wet. We'll get into some follow-up details in a bit, but for now, as we're ambling back to our Airbnb, I'm realizing how not cool walking is gonna be for a while. So the plan? We gotta find some tastiness. Stat.
For our lead-off meal, we're thinking seafood. But first, let's talk about what part of town we're in. The area is actually a mashup of very tiny neighborhoods like Cheonsuman, Hwetjip, and Hyoje-dong, all clustered around a well-known intersection above the Jongno-gu subway stop, and it's especially known as a hotbed for dealers of textiles and fabrics. But while it might look a little sleepy, it's also one of those clutch Seoul neighborhoods with very affordable and very solid tucked-away eateries that cater to folks that work nearby. Places that pack a mean punch for a low price. We're going to highlight some of our favorites we've discovered here, though to narrow the focus, we'll be skipping any bunshik spots, which specialize in extra inexpensive items like kimbap, ramen, and tteokbokki. And to get our fishy on, we're starting with Cheonsuman, a place that's only a 2 or 3 minute walk from our door. Though it's more like a 6-minute hobble for John. 이곳은 아주 좋으신 부부가 운영하시는 곳으로 민어, 광어, 도미 같은 신선한 생선들로 음식을 만드시는 동네 주민들께 사랑받는 곳입니다. 저희는 둘 다 광어, 농어와 각종 신선한 야채가 들어간 회덮밥을 시키는데요. 맛있어 보이는 가지 반찬, 오이무침, 오뎅, 된장국, 멸치고추 볶음과 같이 나오는데 가격은 전부 10,000원씩이고 달러로는 7.5달러 정도밖에 안 하네요. 신선함이 바로 느껴집니다. 아주 부드럽고 깨끗한 생선에 향긋한 깻잎과 아삭한 양배추 가득, 그리고 비빔장은 달달 매콤하면서도 고소한 참기름과 완벽하게 균형이 맞고요. 반찬도 진짜 맛있습니다. 특히 감칠맛 넘치는 멸치와 달달하면서도 입에서 녹는 가지가 맛있었는데요. 좀 더 가격이 높았더라도 맛있게 먹었을 퀄리티라서 엄청 싸게 먹은 듯한 느낌이에요. 저희는 이곳이 너무 마음에 들어서 며칠 후에 다시 왔는데요. 이번에는 대구알, 명태알, 가자미알, 대구 고니와 쑥갓이 들어가 있는 알탕하고 한국 사람에게도 호불호가 좀 있는 멍게가 들어간 멍게덮밥도 시켜봤어요. 와, 이거 씁쓸한 바다의 맛과 약간의 암모니아와 레몬 같은 맛, 그리고 해산물의 콤콤한 맛까지 강렬하네요. 우리 중에 한 명 마음엔 쏙 들었어요. 이제 이곳 칭찬은 그만하고 다음 곳으로.
We're back at the clinic, with stats on hand. Each revisit to check on my progress costs just $16 a pop, and would again cost merely a third of that for insured folks. Yet that's not even the best part. Every go-around, my toe gets a fancy schmancy laser treatment to promote optimal healing, and while that's going on, These guys even let me go full blast with their massage bed in the back. There's a shiatsu setting, a rapid fire setting, a pat me on the ass mode. This is some heaven right here. Now don't get us wrong, healthcare in South Korea is not without issues. Lately there's been a serious ongoing clash between the government and a large swath of doctors over medical education enrollment. Folks in rural areas sometimes have to travel too far for specialized treatment. And going forward, keeping the health system properly funded may get a little tricky due to the country's aging population. But even taking that stuff into account, the overall picture of what's accessible here for everyday folks that need care is enviable compared to much of the rest of the world. To cite another example, I suddenly had to get a wisdom tooth pulled in Seoul not too long ago, and Jesus H, it was cheap and easy breezy. Under 40 US for me at the time, still a third of that for those enrolled in the system, which we should note that all citizens and long-term residents pay into via a pretty reasonable monthly fee based on income and assets. And despite the fact that I had to deal with some soreness, I basically got to eat soft tofu and ice cream for a couple days in a row like a straight gangsta. Well, I thought about how pricey this operation would have been back in the States. I'm assuming you get the picture, so let's turn back to the grub.
There are a lot of places in this area we wish we had time to feature, like Uduri for a sleepy vibe with delicious side dishes, or the notoriously cheap Yangyang식당, which has been drawing some crowds lately. But where we're headed next is a 100% mom-and-pop hidden gem, 양양식당, a tiny, unassuming breakfast and lunch spot that, among other things, does a mean grilled fish, and whose owner hails from Gangwon province. We're quite sad to report that it seems to have closed since we filmed here, at least temporarily, but its menu is so affordable and its food made with so much love that we have to give it a shout out. 저희가 이곳에 처음 가봤을 때 발가락 부상을 입은 그 누구라도 행복하게 만들어줄 정겨운 맛으로 가득한 한 상을 만나게 됩니다. 고등어 구이에 밥과 청국장, 계란 후라이와 장조림 계란, 그리고 도라지와 도토리묵 같은 반찬들. 다 해서 16,000원이었는데 너무 저렴해서 이게 맞나 싶을 정도였는데 맛은 전혀 저렴하지 않았습니다. 찌개는 콤콤하면서 밸런스가 아주 잘 맞춰진 맛으로 식욕을 완전히 돋궈주고 고등어는 아름답게 구워졌지만 안쪽은 아주 촉촉했고요. 제가 진짜 맛있게 먹었던 건 바로 추억의 분홍 소세지 부침이었는데요. 어렸을 때 진짜 좋아했던 반찬으로 엄마가 초등학교 때 도시락 반찬으로 싸주면 친구들이 엄청 부러워했죠. 진짜 이 반찬 먹을 때 미소가 절로 지어지더라고요. 여기 음식은 간이 세지 않은데 도토리묵과 나물 반찬이 완벽하게 짭짤한 맛을 채워주고 할머니가 차려주신 듯한 전혀 멋부리지 않은 집밥의 느낌으로 모든 게 잘 어우러집니다. 이 집은 여기 살지 않으신 분들께는 서울에서 체인식당이나 더 크고 트렌디한 음식점들에서 벗어난 경험을 해보면 좋을 곳이고 이곳에 사는 분들께는 절대 잃고 싶지 않은 곳일 거예요. 더 많은 양양식당 같은 곳들이 계속 살아남길 바라고요. 이곳 언젠가 돌아오길 진심으로 바랍니다. 그건 그렇고 아직 할 일이 남았네요.
It's been a pretty sorry scene over here for a while, but after trudging through the hard part, I'm starting to get some speed back. And though that's cause for celebration, I can now confidently say that this particular doctor could have made his initial cut more carefully. It's taken me a little longer to get back to square compared to the last time I had this done in the States, but regardless, it's been good to get an up-and-close look at the system over here. And we haven't even mentioned the user-friendly features that are available to citizens and folks that live here. But in the spirit of wellness, we're trying to close this story out with a healthy bang. And that brings us over to Hyoje, another very low-key matjip that's supposed to be solid, and that even brings out a younger crowd on occasion. For only 18,000 won, or just under 13 bucks, we're ordering their bori bibimbap, made with freshly cooked barley, mixed veggies, fried egg, and gochujang, and Chueotang, which is a traditional stew prepared with panloch, dried cabbage leaves, chives, and fermented soybean paste. The bibimbap is simple and delectable, wholesome and nutty thanks to the barley, which has a wonderful, tender yet chewy vibe, and the very fresh bean sprouts and namul are hidden almost as right as that massage bed at the foot clinic. The Chueotang here is less fishy than others we've had, but has a super nice woody savoriness. And to take it multi-dimensional, you can jack up the taste with condiments like raw garlic, hot green chilies, ground wild sesame, and a bitter, spicy peppercorn-like aromatic that Koreans refer to as chopi, or jepi. Sharp, rich, earthy, and plenty of other flavors are at your disposal, and you can tailor things just the way you want. But whatever your preference, this dish will get you satisfied. And you can't sleep on the sweet and spicy dried squid panchan here, or the pickled sesame leaf and other sides, which take the scrumptious levels even higher. The whole excellent food for a low price thing is not at all unique to this neighborhood, and Lord knows deliciousness can be found for a bargain in many corners of Korea outside of Seoul. But for now, we're grateful for how on target the eats have been in this quiet little pocket of the city, and we haven't broken the bank in the least. I'm also glad to be out of the tow zone, and as I'm recording this now, I'm stoked to soon be a long-term resident and happy healthcare camper here. But what I'm most ready for once I get settled in Seoul is the epic feasting that will go down. You know what I'm talking about. Stay tuned for more. Kudos in advance for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and we'll bump into y'all again soon.